What is the difference between hyenas and African wild dogs? The question might surprise you. Aren't hyenas basically a kind of wild dog? If you saw a pack of furry, spotty creatures in the African savanna, would you know which one you're looking at? Both hyenas and African wild dogs have patchy fur, big ears, and sharp teeth. Both roam the plains in social groups, chasing prey under the sun. But don't be fooled. These two predators are worlds apart in some pretty wild ways. One isn't even a dog at all, and the other is one of nature's most successful pack hunters. First things first, hyenas are not dogs, and African wild dogs aren't hyenas' cousins or anything like that. In fact, hyenas belong to their own family, Hyenidae, and are closer to cats on the family tree than to dogs. Sounds crazy, but hyenas are actually more genetically akin to a mongoose or civet than to a German shepherd. They're what scientists call cat-like carnivores. African wild dogs, on the other hand, are true dogs. Family Canidae. Sometimes called painted wolves, these wild canines descended from an ancient wolf-like ancestor. They're not stray domestic dogs or wolves, but their own unique branch of the dog family. At a glance, you might mix up a hyena and an African wild dog, but side by side the differences are clear. Hyenas look more shaggy and bear-like in the front, with a bulky build and a sloping back, whereas wild dogs look lean and almost delicate with a tricolor painted coat. Hyenas have a broader face and slightly smaller, more pointed ears, compared to the wild dog's enormous Mickey Mouse ears. Also, hyenas usually have spots or stripes, whereas wild dogs have irregular blotches of color. If you ever see them up close, check the feet. Wild dogs have only 4 toes per foot, and hyenas also have 4 toes, but remember, hyenas' feet are more cat-like, with large paw pads and non-retractable claws like a dog. These little details help tell who's who. Hyenas and African wild dogs both roam sub-Saharan Africa, often in the same regions, but their range and habitat preferences differ a bit. African wild dogs used to range across nearly the entire sub-Saharan Africa in huge numbers. Sadly, their territory has shrunk a lot. Today, painted wolves are endangered and found mostly in pockets of East and Southern Africa. They prefer open spaces like savannas, grasslands, and lightly wooded areas where they can see and chase prey over long distances. They generally avoid dense forests. Hyenas, especially the spotted hyena, are more widespread and numerous. Spotted hyenas are found all across sub-Saharan Africa in a variety of habitats: savannas, grasslands, semi-deserts, and even mountainous regions to some extent. They're versatile and can tolerate arid areas better than wild dogs, even ranging into true desert or rocky terrain. Spotted hyenas are not in trouble as a species. They're considered of least concern by conservationists due to an estimated 27,000 to 47,000 in the wild. So, hyenas have a broader geographic reach beyond where you'd find African wild dogs. Another habitat difference is how they use the space. Wild dogs roam huge territories. A pack might cover hundreds of square miles, ranging widely to find prey. They require large, uninterrupted swaths of land. Hyenas also have large territories, but a hyena clan's territory often overlaps with others at the edges, and they don't mind living near human areas as much. Both hyenas and wild dogs are social animals, but they organize their societies in very different ways. Think of it like 2 different cultures. One has a queen in charge, and the other is more of a family team with a mom and dad leader. African wild dogs live in packs that are essentially big families. A typical pack might have about 7 to 15 members, sometimes up to 30 or more if conditions are good. At the core of the pack is an alpha pair, one dominant female and one dominant male, who are usually the only ones that breed puppies. What's really cool is that wild dog society is super cooperative and kind within the pack. There's very little infighting among themselves. They actually seem to care for one another a lot. Now, hyenas live in groups called clans. A clan can be much larger than a wild dog pack. Spotted hyena clans can have 20, 40, even up to 80 members in some exceptional cases. There are reports of hyena superclans of over 100 strong in rich areas, though they usually roam in smaller subgroups on a day-to-day basis. The hyena social system is a matriarchy. The girls are in charge. The highest-ranking hyena in a clan is an alpha female. And in fact, females are larger and more aggressive than males in spotted hyenas. Life in a hyena clan is not as cuddly as life in a wild dog pack. Hyenas can be affectionate with their close allies, and young cubs will play together, but there's also a lot of competition. High-ranking hyenas get the first pick of food and can bully the lower ranks. In contrast, wild dogs are team players through and through, showing what might be called a softer side. They resolve most things without fighting and seem to just enjoy each other's company. Both hyenas and African wild dogs are carnivores that hunt other animals, but they have quite different hunting styles and reputations. If you were an antelope, you wouldn't want to meet either on a bad day, but let's see how each gets their lunch. African wild dogs are master hunters of the open plains. They have an impressive tactic, endurance chasing. Instead of a quick pounce like a leopard or a strength-in-numbers wrestling match like lions, wild dogs use teamwork and stamina. When a pack targets an impala, warthog, or even a big kudu or wildebeest, they work together in a coordinated chase. Each dog has a kind of a role. Some may run close to the prey, others loop around to cut off escape angles. They don't usually bring the prey down in one tackle like a lion would. Instead, they wear the prey out by relentless pursuit. A wild dog can maintain a speed around 40 kilometers an hour for several kilometers, which for most prey is exhausting. Once the animal is winded and slowing down, the pack closes in, and the dogs will grab and tear to bring it down. Wild dogs have relatively slender muzzles, and their teeth aren't made to crush huge bones. They're made to slash and tear. They often start eating as soon as the prey is down. African wild dogs are one of the most successful hunters on Earth, with a hunting success rate reported around 80 to 85% of the time. Hyenas, by contrast, have the stereotype of being scavengers, the moochers who only steal leftovers from other predators. This is only half true. Spotted hyenas are actually excellent hunters in their own right, possibly catching more than half of their meals themselves. They use a different style, though. A spotted hyena can hunt alone, or a clan may band together to take down large prey like zebra or buffalo. Hyenas are built for endurance too, and they can also run long distances to tire prey, similar to dogs. They're not as fast at top speed, but they are incredibly strong. The hyena's heart is proportionally twice the size of a lion's heart, giving it great stamina for the chase. And those jaws? When a hyena bites, it can crush through thick bone. This means when hyenas make a kill, they consume almost everything, bones, hooves, and all. Hyena poop is famously white because of all the powdered bone they digest. However, hyenas are opportunists. They won't say no to an easy meal. Their keen sense of smell and hearing often leads them to carcasses or kills made by lions, leopards, or wild dogs. Hyenas are known to scavenge and steal. For example, a clan of hyenas might follow an African wild dog pack from a distance, listening for the commotion of a kill. When the wild dogs take down an impala and are busy eating, the hyenas barge in like playground bullies and try to snatch the meal. A single hyena versus a whole wild dog pack is a risky fight, but hyenas are bold and clever. Sometimes a lone hyena will test the waters, grabbing a chunk and running. Other times, if there are a few hyenas, their menacing laughs and whoops can intimidate a dog pack into backing off. It's a bit of a rivalry out there. Hyenas and wild dogs do not like each other much, since hyenas have stolen many a hard-earned wild dog dinner. In areas with plenty of food, they might tolerate each other a little, but often wild dogs will try to avoid hyenas, and hyenas will happily chase off wild dogs if it means a free meal. Such is the circle of life. So what's the difference between hyenas and African wild dogs? They're different species with different families, looks, behaviors, and lifestyles. One is not a dog at all, and the other is about as true a dog as can be. They may share the same home and even the same dinner sometimes, but each has its own amazing story. Next time you hear a spooky cackle in the dark or see a flash of tricolored fur in the bush, you'll know hyena or wild dog, and you'll appreciate how each one is uniquely adapted to thrive in nature's grand design.